Have you ever gotten anyone to take your photo and for whatever reason your eyes end up having weird red dots in them and it makes you look a little evil? It looks a little something like this. I feel like this has happened to all of us at some point, but what's up with that? Well, this is actually a manifestation of something called the red reflex, something that physicians elicit using the Brückner test. Essentially what happens is the room is dimmed to make the eyes dilate, and the physician, while standing about 1 to 2 feet away, shines a light onto the eyes using their ophthalmoscope, which is kind of like a fancy flashlight that allows them to see the back of the eyeball. Looking through the ophthalmoscope at the patient's eye, the physician should be able to see red, a lot like what we sometimes observe in photos. In fact, the absence of a red reflex can actually be really concerning. Seeing white instead of red, something called leukocoria, or the white reflex, is a sign of, among other things, cataracts, glaucoma, and retinal detachment. Leukocoria can also be a sign of retinoblastoma, a form of eye cancer that's very rare but highly curable if caught early. A yellow reflex can be a sign of Coats disease, which is when blood vessels in the eye twist and leak, blocking the retina and leading to vision loss. An abnormal red reflex can also signal what are called refractive errors, a term that collectively refers to myopia, or nearsightedness, hyperopia, or farsightedness, and astigmatism. Other conditions that can cause an abnormal red reflex include aniridia, a condition in which the iris is absent, coloboma, a condition in which there is a hole in the iris or another part of the eye, and strabismus, a condition in which the eyes are misaligned. But what causes this reflex? To understand this, we have to know a little bit about the anatomy of the eye. There's a layer in the eye called the retina, and it houses a bunch of photoreceptors which are responsible for converting the light information into electrical signals that are then processed into images in the brain. It also contains melanin, which is a brownish pigment that, for whatever reason, keeps popping up in my videos. I promise it's not intentional. The retina gets its blood supply from a layer called the choroid, which is very richly vascularized. A fancy way of saying it has a bunch of blood vessels. When you take a picture with flash in a dark room, a lot of that light goes straight through your dilated pupils and hits the back of the eye, or the fundus, before bouncing back into the camera lens. The red color of the light that bounces back is due to the blood in the choroid. Another factor that determines the red color is the amount of melanin in the retina, which varies from person to person. Generally, the red eye effect is more noticeable in those with light skin and blue eyes because they have less melanin. Conversely, the effect is less noticeable in those with dark skin and brown eyes. We can even see this effect in animals, like in this cute cat pic. And we can very clearly see the effect of melanin on the red eye effect in this other cute cat pic. This cat has something called heterochromia, meaning its eyes are different colors. Its right eye is darker, while its left eye is blue. We can clearly see how the red eye effect is present on the left eye, but not so much on the right. Now, there are a lot of ways to prevent the red eye effect from ruining your next photo. First, take your photos in a well-lit environment. That way, your pupils won't be so dilated and it'll be harder for light to go through them. This is actually how red eye effect reduction features work on modern cameras. Before the main flash, the camera emits a few mini flashes to get your pupils to constrict. Second, just don't use flash, or if you have to use flash, use indirect flash or bounce flash, which is exactly like it sounds. You aim the flash at a pale surface or a photographic reflector so that not so much light directly enters the eye. So, that's why your eyes look red in photos. Even if you do look a little bit evil, it actually just means your eyes are healthy.